Can you afford the 2025 Ford Mustang? Well, for this video, I built 5 different trim levels of the Mustang, all coupes, and I went with the essentially a base model EcoBoost, and that's going to be $35,930. Then we have the premium, which all of the premium models, I built them, at a pretty high spec, almost fully loaded. So the EcoBoost Premium came out to be $47,015. The GT, a base model, about $50,570. The GT Premium with the performance package, $67,490, the way I built it. Finally, the Dark Horse, I just built the premium version of the Dark Horse because you've come this far into the Mustang lineup, you might as well go with a premium Dark Horse. And that's going to be $80,810, the way I built it. And I did not choose any of the appearance packages or any of the stripes. The only thing I chose was the unique colors, which cost a bit of extra money, especially when you take a look at the more base model EcoBoost and GT vehicles I built. For those models, I literally just added the color and a couple of accessories like the premium floor mats, the spare tire, and the first aid kit, because just in case the Mustang driver gets into a bit of a situation and they need a band-aid, well, I got them covered with the first aid kit. So that's how I built the base models. The premium models, I chose everything that you would want, minus the stripes and the other appearance package sort of things. With that established, let's just get one thing out of the way. The lease programs are absolute garbage for the 2025 Mustang. Of course, leasing programs, interest rates, incentives, they can change every month. I'm recording this video in June of 2025. In the description box below, I will have a free leasing calculator provided to you by AutoCompanion. This is a very powerful tool because it does show you the interest rate of a lease along with the residual values, and you can also see the incentives for your local zip code. So yeah, the interest rate on the Mustang lease, it's over 8% for every model of the Mustang. Yeah, they don't want you to lease this, but definitely use this calculator because it does show you a lot of the incentives that you can get. So this information, very difficult to come by. AutoCompanion's calculator, it lays it out beautifully, and you can see what you personally can qualify for so you can get additional savings. This is also going to give you a good estimation on the fees that you're going to have to pay, and it can estimate the taxes as well for your particular state. Another thing to keep in mind is I am going to provide each of these trim levels a $2,000 discount because me personally, I don't really recommend paying MSRP for any vehicle, and the least you can do is go to a website like JD Power to see what the invoice price of a new vehicle is. And for the Mustang, there truly is not much meat on the bone. Invoice to MSRP on most models, it's like $2,000. I've actually seen several dealerships advertise below invoice on the Mustangs, like on the GT models. I've seen dealerships advertise like $5,000 off the MSRP, so it's totally possible to do better. I'm just using roughly $2,000 as a base discount that I feel like just about any dealership should comfortably give you at least that much money off if they're serious about selling you the car, because 2025 also saw quite a substantial price hike, especially for the V8 powered Mustangs for 2025. I would strive for at least 10% off the MSRP, but at least aim for $2,000 off. But going back to AutoCompanion's calculator, a base model EcoBoost, the way I built it with a $2,000 discount, so a selling price of $33,930, in a state like Pennsylvania with no money down, assuming you have perfect credit, your lease payment, it's going to be $718 per month. Absolute garbage. Leasing is not even worth talking about. And when we go on Ford's own website, they actually have no promotional interest rates. They have no real incentives other than military, first responders, etc. It's almost as if Ford doesn't even really want to sell these vehicles. It's like they don't even care. So because Ford does not have like an incentivized finance rate like 3.9%, 2.9%, we're going to have to find our own good interest rate. And PenFed is a bank that I mention often because you don't have to be military or anything. All you have to do is put $5 into a savings account and you're automatically a member and you get all the benefits. So I like PenFed and their interest rates seem to be really good. 4.79% for 60 months. So we're going to roll with that. Of course, a lower term like 3-4 years, that would be better, but I want to maintain some level of balance. I think 60 months is okay, and we're going to continue to put zero money down for all of these examples, because the whole point of financing or leasing is to preserve your capital, not to blow it on a rotting, depreciating liability. So we're putting no money down. We're still using Pennsylvania, and we saw that with AutoCompanion's calculator, the title, registration, and other fees, it's going to be about $1,945. So that means the base EcoBoost, your monthly payment, it's going to be $711 per month. Cheaper than the lease. Pretty interesting. Anyway, the well-equipped EcoBoost Premium Coupe that I built, that's going to be $932 per month for the finance. The base GT, $1,003 per month. The GT Premium, $1,339 a month. That's that very expensive $67,000 MSRP vehicle. Once again, I took $2,000 off the MSRP to replicate invoice. And finally, we have the Dark Horse Premium, which was about 80 grand. I did take $2,000 off. For the longest time, the Dark Horses were selling at MSRP, but I believe you can get like 2 grand off at least on the Dark Horse, because invoice on the Dark Horse, it's about a $3,000 difference between invoice to MSRP on the Dark Horse. So 2 G's, that should definitely be possible. So $78,810 is the amount that we are financing, and the monthly payment on that, it's going to be $1,604.97. Now, there is a Kelley Blue Book article that states that your total monthly payment, including your fuel and your insurance, it should not exceed more than 10 to 20% of your net monthly income. So I just did some quick Google searching and found out that the Google AI spat out a pretty ridiculous $3,544 per year estimate for the Mustang insurance, which I thought was crazy. I'm sure there are some people paying that, but upon further investigation, when I looked on some Reddit forums, people were paying much less than that, around like $150 a month, even for some younger individuals. Some older individuals were paying like $62 a month. So ultimately, I went with a monthly insurance cost of $250 for all of these Mustangs. Just kind of overestimated that because some people might be living in California or Florida or something. And regarding the fuel for the EcoBoost, I'm just using $175 a month as the example because that's what the Google AI spat out for 15,000 miles of annual driving. And for 15,000 miles of annual driving on the GT V8 models, the Google AI estimated about $292 per month in fuel. It's true the EcoBoost is much better in terms of fuel economy, but I did notice that the Google AI used like regular fuel numbers. For the EcoBoost, I do think you should put premium fuel into the EcoBoost. The GT definitely requires premium. Regardless of that, I'm still going to roll with it. When you drive that GT aggressively, you're not going to be getting great fuel economy, and if you get the manual, it's going to be even worse still. So EcoBoost definitely does have an advantage regarding fuel. So when you add up everything with the finance payment, the insurance, and the fuel, for a base EcoBoost, we're at a little over $1,100 a month. The EcoBoost Premium, over $1,300 a month. A base model V8 GT, over $1,500 a month. GT Premium, $1,881. And the Dark Horse Premium, with fuel, insurance, everything, $2,146 per month is what these vehicles are going to cost you. That means in order to afford a base EcoBoost at roughly invoice price with everything we just talked about, you have to be bringing in between $5,600 to $11,367 per month for this to be between 10 to 20% of your net monthly income. That's for a base model EcoBoost. EcoBoost Premium, you got to be making between $6,700 to $13,573 a month. A base model GT, you have to make at least $7,700 a month to $15,451 per month. A well-equipped GT Premium, $9,400 to $18,800 a month. And that Dark Horse Premium, top of the line, you have to be producing minimum $10,734 to $21,469 per month to comfortably afford these vehicles. And this is net monthly income, mind you. Now, there is one more vehicle that I ran numbers on, and that is the Dark Horse Premium, but supercharged. You may have heard about this, but there is a dealership known as Lebanon Ford, and they are essentially supercharging V8 Mustangs for, $12,000 to $13,000. I went with the $13,000 package, and I added that onto the Dark Horse Premium. Why? It's because the Dark Horse seems to be the Mustang that is most well equipped to handle the excess of 800 horsepower that the supercharger is going to help this vehicle produce. So that $78,810 Dark Horse Premium that I built, tack on $13,000 for that supercharger kit, which also includes installation. We are now at $91,810. This is kind of like your new Hellcat, if you will, right? So that's why I wanted to add this in. Financing 91 grand through PenFed at 4.79% for 60 months. Once again, with zero down. Your finance payment on that, it's going to be $1,863.69 per month. We're still going to use $250 as the insurance and $292 for the fuel. Total monthly finance cost on this supercharged Dark Horse Premium, it's going to be $2,405.69. That means in order to afford this supercharged Mustang, you have to be bringing in between $12,000 to $24,000 per month. Yeah, that's no joke. But keep in mind though, I did really overinflate the insurance and the fuel costs. Not everyone is going to be driving 15,000 miles in their Mustang. This might just serve as a weekend vehicle for you. So I actually just did one more calculation on a base model GT V8 Mustang with that MSRP of $50,570. Well, I actually implemented 10% off the MSRP because we just mentioned Lebanon Ford. Well, that particular dealership, I have no affiliation with these people, by the way, or PenFed or any of these companies, but even Lebanon Ford was offering like $5,000 off the MSRP on regular GT Mustangs. Once again, part of the reason for that is because GT Mustangs have really increased in price for 2025. So yeah, getting like $5,000 off is great, but you really need that for 2025 for these vehicles to make any bit of sense. So I implemented 10% off for a base GT Mustang. I went with $150 for the insurance, $150 for the fuel. Total monthly finance cost on that, $1,243. So to afford a base V8 Mustang at 10% off, which is under invoice with reasonable insurance and with reasonable fuel costs, you still got to be bringing in between $6,000 to $12,000 per month in net monthly income. Definitely an improvement, but still very expensive, no doubt. I mean, $50,000 for a base V8 Mustang is diabolical, but it is what it is. That's just the pricing now, and this is how much money you need to bring in to comfortably afford these vehicles. But comment below, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about these numbers? Do you currently own a Mustang? How much did you pay for it? How much discount did you get? What is your insurance and what is your monthly fuel cost? I would like to know. But thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.